The story is set in a picturesque but quiet town in the Midwest, Mapleton, Indiana. While small, it is known for its tight-knit community, where everyone is familiar with everyone else's business. Secrets here are hard to keep, and this is where the story of Madison Walker, 30 years old, and her best friend, Olivia James, 28 years old, begins. Madison is a well-regarded event planner, full of energy and ambition. She's always been the life of the party, always putting others first, with a sense of loyalty that makes her beloved by those close to her. Olivia, on the other hand, is quieter, introspective, and thoughtful. She's an artist, a graphic designer with a knack for creating beautiful and complex works, yet she has always been unsure of her direction in life. Both women have been friends since childhood, their bond forged by shared memories and mutual understanding. Their lives, from the outside, appear to be perfect. Madison has a successful career, a stable relationship with her boyfriend, and a beautiful home. Olivia, while more reclusive, is content with her art and the occasional success. However, despite the apparent perfection, cracks in their lives are beginning to show. Madison, feeling increasingly trapped by her life and responsibilities, begins to feel suffocated by the routines she's built. The stress of planning events, managing client expectations, and maintaining a social facade wears on her. At the same time, Olivia is struggling to move forward with her art career, weighed down by self-doubt and an unspoken desire for more in her life. One day, Madison's path crosses with Dylan Carter, a charming, confident photographer she meets at an event she's managing. Dylan is 32, an artist in his own right, known for his spontaneous approach to photography. His everything Madison isn't bold, free-spirited, and always on the move. Their instant connection is electric, and what begins as an innocent flirtation soon turns into a passionate affair. Olivia, who has always been by Madison's side, begins to notice the change in her best friend. Madison has been distant lately, no longer as responsive to her phone calls, forgetting plans, and acting secretive. Olivia becomes increasingly concerned, but doesn't press Madison too hard, afraid of losing the trust they've always shared. Then, one fateful evening, Madison and Dylan's affair takes an unexpected turn when Madison's boyfriend, Mark Walker, a 32-year-old successful lawyer, begins to suspect something is wrong. He's noticed Madison's erratic behavior, the sudden late nights, and the distance that's crept into their relationship. But instead of confronting her, he decides to keep quiet, observing from the shadows as he begins to gather his own evidence, photos, messages, and phone records. His plan is calculated, his mind set on a slow, devastating revenge. Meanwhile, Olivia is beginning to put the pieces together herself. She finds a strange message on Madison's phone one evening when they meet at their favorite cafe, the Maple Bean. The message is from Dylan, and it's filled with promises of a future that Olivia knows her best friend hasn't considered. Olivia's heart sinks. She confronts Madison the next day, asking her to explain what's been going on. Madison, too ashamed to admit the truth, lies, telling Olivia it's just a phase, nothing to worry about. But Olivia doesn't buy it. As the emotional tension builds, Mark finally takes his confrontation to the next level. One night, he arranges to meet Madison at their home. But he's not there for a peaceful talk. He's armed with all the evidence he's collected and a plan to turn Madison's betrayal into something far worse. When Madison arrives home, expecting to discuss their relationship, she's stunned to find the living room transformed into a chaotic scene. Mark has staged the place to make it look like something from a thriller, a pile of papers, images of her and Dylan, with a note pinned to the center of the room, "I know everything." Madison, caught off guard and overwhelmed with guilt, begins to break down. She tries to explain, but Mark, now a man consumed by betrayal, begins to attack her emotionally, pushing her to admit her wrongs and threaten her with the ultimate loss, the loss of everything, including their family home and their social standing. As Madison starts to spiral, Olivia arrives just in time to witness the tension between the two. She's never seen Mark this enraged, and something shifts in her. In a moment of uncharacteristic bravery, Olivia stands up to him, telling him to back off. But this only leads to more conflict. Mark, seeing Olivia as an obstacle to his revenge, grows angrier, making accusations and throwing insults. Olivia, in her fury, steps in front of Madison, promising she won't let him destroy her. In that moment, the tension escalates into a physical altercation, with Madison trying to pull Olivia away from Mark as things become increasingly heated. The altercation results in a dramatic scene in the cafe, the Maple Bean, where Olivia and Madison rush to escape. But the damage has been done. Their friendship is now hanging by a thread. As both women grapple with their own emotions, Mark begins to manipulate the narrative, turning the tables on Madison, claiming she was the aggressor. And so begins their emotional and legal battle, not just for their future, but for the truth. The drama unfolds, and Olivia, torn between loyalty to her best friend and her own feelings of betrayal, finds herself deeply conflicted. Will she stand by Madison through it all, or will the weight of her own emotions drive them further apart? With the emotional and physical confrontation between Madison, Olivia, and Mark escalating, the stakes have never been higher. Madison finds herself in a situation that feels like it's slipping through her fingers. Her relationship with Olivia is strained, and the walls between them seem to be growing taller every day. Madison is trying to salvage what's left of her once perfect life, but it seems like every step she takes only brings her closer to disaster. Olivia, meanwhile, has become consumed by the guilt of what happened. She wants to help Madison, but she also feels betrayed. She spent years supporting her best friend, and now that the truth has come to light, she can't help but feel left out in the cold. She's not just struggling with the idea of betrayal from Mark but with the realization that Madison, the one person who always promised to be there for her, has let her down too. But despite all of this, Olivia can't turn her back on her. The bond they share is too strong, and she knows Madison needs her now more than ever. The situation at the Maple Bean Cafe reached its peak when Madison, in an attempt to fix everything, confronts Mark with the evidence he's been using to manipulate the situation. But the encounter quickly spirals out of control, with Mark's anger and accusations only intensifying. Madison, on the defensive, tries to plead her case, but it's clear that he's already made up his mind. He's determined to make sure that Madison's life falls apart. Meanwhile, the fallout of the altercation starts to leak into the town. The once respected lawyer and socialite is now the subject of gossip and whispers. Madison's public image begins to crumble, and with it, her career and reputation. As she tries to rebuild, she faces mounting pressure from her clients and friends, some of whom have already chosen to distance themselves. But Olivia, despite everything, stands by her. She decides that if Madison is going to get through this, she can't do it alone. She goes through the legal battle with her, supporting her every step of the way. Madison hires a lawyer, Catherine West, a determined and highly skilled professional who's known for taking on difficult cases. Catherine immediately begins gathering evidence to protect Madison, finding a series of inconsistencies in Mark's claims and painting a clearer picture of what really happened during their confrontation. Catherine's strategy is to expose the manipulative and controlling nature of Mark, showing that he's been using their shared history and Madison's loyalty against her. Olivia, however, struggles with her own emotions as the case progresses. There are times when she wants to give up, to walk away from the whole situation. She feels like she's losing her best friend, but the thought of leaving Madison in the lurch is something she can't bear. One night, after a particularly emotional meeting, Olivia finds herself sitting outside the Maple Bean Cafe once more, reflecting on everything that has led them here. She has a moment of clarity, realizing that no matter the outcome of the court case, she needs to focus on herself as well. She's been so consumed by Madison's pain and struggle that she's neglected her own needs and aspirations. It's time for Olivia to put herself first, for the first time in years. As Olivia steps back into the battle, she finds a renewed sense of purpose. She's determined to make sure that Madison, her best friend, doesn't lose everything, not just because of the betrayal, but because she knows that in the end, they will both need to rebuild. Olivia might not be able to save Madison from the world's judgments, but she can help her find peace with herself. The courtroom drama is fast approaching. The town is watching with bated breath, wondering how it will all unfold. Will Madison and Olivia survive this devastating turn of events? Or will Mark succeed in destroying everything they've built? Olivia knows one thing for sure: they will fight, and no matter what happens, they will face it together. As the hearing day arrives, tension fills the air. Madison and Olivia stand side by side, ready to face Mark and the overwhelming weight of the case. The courtroom is packed, and the atmosphere is thick with anticipation. Mark's lawyer, Richard Evans, has been quick to attack, painting Madison as unstable and incapable of handling the pressure. But Catherine counters with a strong defense, highlighting Mark's manipulative tendencies and his attempt to ruin Madison's life. The fight for Madison's future, and the survival of their friendship, hangs in the balance. Finally, after hours of intense arguments and testimonies, the judge makes his decision. The court rules in favor of Madison, granting her the chance to rebuild her life. Mark is ordered to pay for damages and is given limited visitation with the couple's child, Ella, though the court warns him that any further misconduct will result in a permanent ban. For the first time in what feels like years, Madison breathes a sigh of relief. Her life isn't perfect, and she knows she has a long way to go, but the worst is finally behind her. As she leaves the courtroom, she looks at Olivia, who is by her side, and smiles, grateful for the loyalty and strength her best friend has shown her. They've been through the worst together, and now, they can begin to rebuild. But the future is still uncertain. Madison and Olivia's bond has been tested in ways they never could have imagined. As they walk out into the sunlight, they both know that this is only the beginning of a new chapter. The world may have broken them down, but together, they'll rise again. As Madison and Olivia step out of the courthouse, the weight of everything that has happened begins to sink in. They've faced heartbreak, betrayal, and the collapse of everything they once knew. But now, with the legal battles behind them, they have a chance to rebuild not just their lives, but their friendship. It's a long road ahead. Madison still has moments of doubt, questioning if she's made the right decisions along the way, but Olivia's unwavering support is a constant reminder that they can face anything together. They return to the Maple Bin Cafe, their sanctuary, where they've shared countless conversations over cups of coffee. It feels like a new beginning, a place where they can start over. Over the following months, Madison slowly starts to regain her footing. She begins working on rebuilding her reputation, slowly re-entering the social and professional circles she once held dear. But it's not just about fixing what's broken, it's about finding the person she used to be, before all the lies and deceit. Olivia is there every step of the way, helping her navigate the world of new opportunities and challenges. Their bond has been tested, but it's stronger than ever. Olivia, too, finds herself at a crossroads. She starts to focus on her own dreams and ambitions, ones that have long been put aside in favor of helping others. She begins taking art classes, something she's always been passionate about but never had the time to pursue. Madison encourages her every step of the way, proud of her friend's resilience and newfound strength. As for Mark, his life takes a darker turn. After the courtroom decision, he retreats into the shadows of his own making. His reputation is tarnished, and the people who once admired him start to distance themselves. His personal life falls apart, and is left to confront the consequences of his actions alone. One evening, months after the trial, Madison sits in the same corner booth at the Maple Bin Cafe, watching as Olivia adds the final touches to a canvas she's been working on. The light from the street lamp outside casts a soft glow on her face, and Madison smiles, feeling a deep sense of peace. There's no more anger, no more fear, just the quiet satisfaction of knowing they've made it through the storm. Olivia, Madison says softly, her voice filled with gratitude. Thank you. For everything. Olivia looks up, her eyes meeting Madison's, and smiles. You don't have to thank me. We're in this together. Always. In that moment, Madison realizes that while the world may try to tear them apart, their bond will always remain unbreakable. They've come out stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever. The pain of the past is still there, but it no longer defines them. It's a chapter they've closed, and now, it's time for a new one to begin. As they leave the cafe that night, hand in hand, Madison and Olivia step into the future with hope, ready for whatever comes next. The world may be uncertain, but with each other, they know they can face anything.